Welcome to the show, Scott.
Thanks, Sylvia. Great to be here. Really appreciate the invitation.
Let's start off with a little bit of background on you. And so can you tell us a little bit about your journey and your professional, background?
Yeah, of course. I joined Vodafone in 2009. I spent about 7 years in the Vodafone business part of Vodafone, leading product development, actually in our IoT platform, which we're now working with Microsoft on, our customer delivery and ultimately IT for Vodafone Business. In 2016, I was the UK CTO for 4 years and worked on the turnaround and growth of our UK business, which was really exciting. And since the start of this decade, I've been the group CIO and stepped up to group CTO last year when Johan Wiberg retired from the organization. For 17 years before that, I worked for Systems Integrated Dimension Data and actually started my career as a Microsoft MCSE, specializing in Active Directory. So it feels like a long time ago now, but that's one of the exciting things about our industry. It changes and you get to do some really exciting stuff.
And actually, I love the fact that you've seen both, the business, the work in an operating company, and then the group strategy. It's a breadth of experience that is super helpful now in this world where, in the transformation, we need to have a clear sight on both the business requirements and the difficulty somehow in making it happen. So great to have this richness of experience.
I think it's all about delivering value to the business and making sure that the things that we work on in technology really translate into commercial momentum for the company. And that is really critical for all of us in technology to make sure we stay focused on.
And honestly, the ability to understand also the other side, the business partner side, is not as common. So I think that's a great asset. I will start maybe a little bit broadly, but in this moment of such rapid transformation, what are your general thoughts, reactions, impressions on AI in general?
Oh, I think AI really will be transformative to particularly our industry, but probably all industries. We started working on AI actually back in 2017, particularly in machine learning, the ability to take machine learning models and apply it to the statistics and data we have. Has been super beneficial for our network planning, our optimization inside the company, and driven a lot of operation efficiencies. Of course, the key topic now is generative AI and the role that will play in the organization. And we're really excited about the opportunities that can unlock for us as a company, particularly over the next 3 years. I think the next year, there'll be lots of experimentation and learning and some early use cases starting to demonstrate value. But if I think forward in 3 years' time, generative AI will have really transformed, I think, many industries.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how is Vodafone using AI today and what are the outcomes that you are witnessing?
Yeah, we look at AI or it's the application of AI really in 3 particular buckets in the organization. The first one is really around productivity, giving AI tools to our employee and workforce to help them be more productive or accelerate the things that they're doing. A good example would be in our software development organization. We have more than 14,000 software developers. Giving them access to Copilot and GitHub is clearly having a significant impact on the speed with which we can develop the quality of some of our code. And that's giving us an uplift in capacity, making us more productive and able to deliver more value to the business. We're equally excited about the opportunity to drive business transformation. So taking generative AI capabilities and applying that to business processes to rethink how they work and transform the way we interact with our customers. A good example would be the work we're doing in customer care, taking all of our chat interactions, summarizing those and making them available to our agents to really help them improve the quality of the call that they're having with the customer when they're talking to them, giving them call summaries, summarizing FAQ information, giving them access to company data. And that's really transforming the customer care process from being all about average handling time to actually about the quality of the interaction between our care agents and the customers that are calling us. And we think that's going to translate into a much greater net promoter score and customer satisfaction overall. And then the third and probably the most exciting area is actually developing new products and services and new opportunities in the marketplace. And we're experimenting with some new areas that we think generative AI can help us create new products in the way we interact with telecommunications that will create revenue growth for us as an organization.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And on top of a way to increase productivity, it can also give telcos a new stream of revenues, for example, for SMBs, but also for consumers for advanced AI services. And the role that telco can have in the value chain is critical, because they own, let's say, the interaction with the customer, and there is a value generation opportunity that is quite exciting. So that's great to hear. But it's not, as you were at the front runner in the AI transformation, what are some of the lessons learned that you can share with the audience about what worked, what can be done differently? What are the difficulties when you embark in this journey?
Yeah, that's a great question, Sylvia. And there's lots of lessons to learn. I think we need to be cautious and careful as we implement generative AI. We actually partnered with Oxford University to develop an AI framework and governance model for Vodafone last year. And that's really helped us understand where we should use generative AI, the rules and the decision-making we should make, particularly around risk, accuracy, manage our privacy requirements, and ensure that humans are in the loop at the right time, and humans are watching the loop at other times to make sure we are accurate and we're using high quality services that we use with our people and with our customers. But at the end of the day, it's actually all really about your data. We've been working really hard to build a data ocean, taking all of our source systems, and like many big companies, we have thousands of those, ingesting that data into a large data ocean. And that's really important because it enables us to take large language models and point them at that data to train them and to make sure that we've got real accuracy in the way we're building the applications. And don't take for granted that your data may not be that accurate. I'll give you a really simple example. We built a chatbot interface into our FAQs for our customers. What is the feature of an iPhone? How do you put a SIM in a device? What's the roaming cost to the US? Those kind of questions that people look up on our websites. When we first applied the LLM, we were really disappointed in accuracy levels. We were getting something like 25-30% accuracy on the answers, and we're thinking, wow, these LLMs aren't very good. They're coming up with the wrong answers. When we dug into it, actually wasn't the LLM at all. It was the quality of the data really wasn't being managed well by the data owners in our organization, the product managers, the commercial people. And we've had to work really hard to make sure we're lifting the quality of the data that we have in place and make sure that data is up to date and lifecycle managed effectively to really help large language models give much more accurate answers. So I think getting your data right and the integration of that model is really, really important. Secondly, we've found different benefits of different types of LLMs. Understanding how to ask the question of the large language model is super important. It's actually created a new role within my organization called a prompt engineer. A little bit different to a software engineer or maybe someone that's done RPA, but they're specialists in understanding how to phrase the question to the large language model to get accurate answers, but also to minimize the number of tokens or the number of quests that the large language model needs to make to really understand the cost model. So just like we do in cloud engineering, where FinOps is a critical part of the model, I think FinOps in AI, and particularly generative AI, is going to be critically important to manage cost models and economics as we move forward in the generative AI as we scale out the applications.
Great advice, indeed. And I love the point on getting your data in order, also your content in order, because we see that it's really like a magnifying glass. And sometimes you don't even know the mess that is in our archives, in our SharePoints, in our documents. And so that really is a forcing function for more simplicity and a way to sort of put the house in order somehow, and to be ready for the benefits of the AI. Okay, how do you envision AI transforming your business going forward?
I think AI will transform virtually every part of the business. We're seeing great applications, for instance, in our network planning. As a really simple example, we have contracts for all of our mobile sites, leaseholders, rules and laws that we need to apply. The leases run out and the landowner asks us to move, and we literally have hundreds of thousands of these contracts. We're using generative AI to summarize those contracts, warn us when a lease is about to come up to end and we're able to renegotiate that in the right time frame. So really automating simple processes. We're using generative AI to respond to RFPs in our business to help summarize the right answers and create a better quality RFP response for the business. And if I think across every area of the company, I can see roles for generative AI to deliver a transformation. The real challenge for us as technologists is how to ensure technology or IT is not the bottleneck in the deployer of generative AI capability. How do we democratize access to the data, to the tooling, inside guardrails and a framework that enables everyone in the business to be able to do their own prompt engineering, do their own business transformation, leveraging generative AI tools? Because if they have to come to IT for every application or use case that they want to build, you're really going to hold your business back. So we're thinking really hard about the democratization of the tooling. How do we make sure it's accessible to everyone? How do we train our people to make sure they have great access and understanding of how to use the tools? So I'll give you a simple example. We launched a pilot with Microsoft Copilot in Microsoft 365, and I'd say we had a third of our user base that absolutely loved the tooling. They found a big uplift in productivity. They found really innovative ways to help drive their transformation. We had about a third of people who said, yeah, it helped. It gave me an increase, but didn't get a lot of value. And then we had another third of people that didn't really get a lot of value from the tools. And we were a little bit perplexed, thinking, why? What is it that doesn't suit their role? Actually, when we realized that we hadn't given them the training and the knowledge and the understanding, they didn't even really know how to use Microsoft Teams or Microsoft Word and Excel to its full functionality. So we were giving them another super tool sitting on top of a tool set they didn't know how to use. So we're putting a lot of effort into the business transformation, the education, and making sure that every employee of Vodafone understands how to use generative AI tools and how it can help them be more productive in their job.
I agree. And skilling and in a way, it's like lifelong learning, right? Because we need to unlearn and relearn how we do things. And so adoption, change management, the kind of soft skills are so important to really drive the impact that we expect from at the end of these tools, these new tools. Okay, it's been super, super informative, and maybe I want to leave with the last question, which is more about what are you most excited about AI going forward?
Well, I just think the sheer volume of change that it's going to drive for our industries, the new applications. I'm old enough to remember when the World Wide Web was invented and when it first started to impact businesses, and we moved to digital channels and e-commerce, and that was a really exciting time to work in our industry and be part of an IT revolution that was really changing the world. I think generative AI is the next transformation, and learning that technology, understanding how to apply it to the business and unlocking real value opportunities is really exciting. I spent the other day with some of our contact center agents that have been using Copilot to help improve their job and the way they service customers, and the excitement level that they display, because it's taking what is really sometimes real drudgery of their job, looking up information, checking records, and actually enable them to have a much richer conversation with our customers. They're getting a lot better job satisfaction. They're really excited about the way they can service our customers, and I think it will transform the way our customers think about telecommunications as an industry through better customer service.
Thank you to our guest, Scott Petty, and thank you all for joining me today on Candid Communications. Our goal is for you to learn something new and be inspired to embark on your own AI transformation journey. If you enjoyed today's episode and you want to help others find it, please share, rate, and review the episode. Check out our show page for links to what was discussed today and get updates on my LinkedIn page. Thank you, and see you next time.